Hey folks, Dude here. Well, today's trip's going to bring me someplace really, did I say really? I mean really cool. Get the tweel right there. And if I look around this way, we are at Udvar, as in Stephen F. Udvar-Hazy. Udvar-Hazy Smithsonian Museum, Air and Space Museum at Dulles. Oh man, this place is going to be bad. We'll break off and go inside now. Alright, we're now in the Boeing Hangar, so there's all kinds of really cool stuff. And as any Marine would know, this is the Corsair. It is a folding wing, carrier-based butt kicker from World War II. It was a hellaciously good aircraft. A little heavy, didn't dive quite as fast as Zero, but it was just very, very fast. So that was its namesake. It was just a serious butt kicker. And of course, looking over here, I believe that's a P-40, I think. What is that guy? Yeah, it's a P-40. That's a P-40. So that's another World War II butt kicker. Obviously, some high wings, some stunt planes, some other big stuff down there. Oh, that would be a Japanese Zero, I believe. Or is that a Stuka? There's all kinds of stuff. I'll be going through there and picking them out and what have you. But this place is inundated with aircraft, and it is a huge facility. I haven't even gotten downstairs and started looking real hardcore yet, but there's a lot of stuff here. Definitely would wish to come over here and check it out for yourself, but right now I'm just kind of doing the initial look at. Oh, wait a minute, back in over there, you can just barely see it. There is a space shuttle. Oh, ooh, this one's good too. I've seen this guy before. It's an SR-71. I saw this one in New York City. I don't know if it was this one per se, but this is a SR-71 Blackbird. But I saw one of these guys up close and personal when I went on the Intrepid in New York City. But that's a badass bird, and I'm going to definitely check out the shuttle when I get a chance. So I'm going to break off on this one for a second. All right, looking over here, we have a Sikorsky. Oh man, this is the Seahorse. So you can see the blades, all the helicopter blades. You know, the big main rotor has been folded up for storage on an aircraft carrier. These were the workhorse for a long time. Very good aircraft. Kind of underrated now for, you know, time period. These are really unusual because the engine was actually in front in that little nose cone and the pilot sat up above it, as opposed to a more conventional thing, which would be like the UH-1. Oh man, awesome aircraft. These things were in service for the longest time. Very good fly, very good rating, very, just awesome little aircraft. Could take a hell of a lot of hits and just really kept on getting everybody back home safe. Awesome piece of kit. Anybody that's in the service knows the sound of a UH-1 Huey. With that, you know, fiberglass blade rotor, with that waka 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 waka. They were really, really loud, but awesome piece of aircraft. I'm going to break off on this one, but this is some of the notable helicopters, man. I love these things. Awesome, awesome stuff. This beast here is a one-person aircraft. This is the Republic 105D Thunder Chief. When it absolutely positively has to be completely obliterated overnight, this guy was the one you got, man. Look up the F-105D, man. It was a serious ass kicker. Okay, if you're trying to go somewhere fast, there wasn't too much faster than this bad boy right here. This here was the SR-71, man. Oh, awesome piece of aircraft. Like I said, I've seen this guy in New York City, but just an awesome piece of kit. Love these things. All right, I'm going to go into more detail here, okay? The SR-71 was designed back in the 50s. It's one of the fastest aircraft ever made. Skin is titanium. As a matter of fact, this thing was built in such a way that there was actually little gaps in between all the body panels, so when it expanded in heat, it actually got tighter and it actually didn't leak anymore. You can see like the space in between these two panels here. These things would actually leak fuel on the tarmac before they took off because they weren't up to temperature yet. Special fuel, special tires, all kinds of stuff had to be engineered so this thing could handle the heat, the temperature, the buffeting of going 2,100, 2,300 miles an hour. It needed some special engineering, like these nacelles going into the engine. These cones would actually adjust fore and aft to adjust the shock wave so it wouldn't blow out the engine and, you know, turn it off, because the shock wave would actually create such a buffeting, torrential, just horrific amount of air just swirling around inside the engine. It would just turn it off. You know, it literally starved the engine. So they actually had these to adjust the shock wave so the engine was always optimally fed with air. That's cool stuff. I mean, literally the edges on these things going into this really sharp needle point, which is like a reinforced steel point, going into the body, of course, is titanium. Or I think it might be like Inconel or some other really aerospace technology metal. You know, really esoterically unique tires. Body panels on this thing were just the amazing design features on this thing and stuff you really don't see. Now here's the other thing that people don't really put into perspective here. The size of this aircraft is damn near the size of pretty close to a 747, man. It is a big aircraft for one person. With the little notch up top, which was the trainer model, 2 people. So you had one person basically flying the thing. You had another guy basically as the navigator. So you had 2 people in there, with the trainer was a notch up, so it has to be a different style of aircraft, but typically it was 2 people. 1 pilot, 1 navigator. That's it. The navigator was the guy setting the course, the pilot was the one flying it, and usually there was like a couple lights when the translation got lost between communications. The one light said, okay, everything's going wrong. Second light said, better check. Third light said, I'm gone, and you know, it's your turn. There was really no translation there. Technology in this thing, well, for what it was just sheerly, absolutely, unbelievably incredible, and I truly adore the SR-71. It is one of my absolute favorite aircraft in which to look upon. Awesome piece of kit. All right, we got to have a little fun here. If you're seeing this view, you're in trouble because you're looking up the tailpipe in SR-71, and it's it's not going to be good for you. Typically, this is the view that most people had of the SR-71 because it was just so flipping fast. It was exceeding the velocity of a 30-06 bullet. You're just not going to catch it. Love the SR-71. All right, coolest part about this whole place, that. Yes, that. Space Shuttle Discovery. I'll get you a closer view in a second. All right, walking up on this beast. Yes. Oh, yes. Space Shuttle Discovery. I got to put it in perspective, folks. When you see something that's actually been to space, been back, been up to space, that's kind of cool. But this thing's been up to space and been back from space, literally as NASA's pickup truck. And this thing really, truly has done everything it needed to do, and then some. Of course, a couple incidents in between, but that was pretty much human stupidity, not doing stuff that we were supposed to do. But here's the kicker, man. We actually were down in Disney 2006 in December, and Mrs. Dude thinks this is actually the space shuttle we saw actually launch. So we actually saw a space shuttle launch at night. Oh man, how cool is this? To actually see this thing up close in person, that's just bad. Awesome, awesome. All right, here's one of the coolest views of this beast, man. This vertical stabilizer looks like it's every bit of about, I'm gonna say at least almost 30 feet off the ground, man. It's tall. These nozzles are freaking massive. And all the individual tiles, I'm going to try to get a pretty good view here. It's unfortunately, not the best camera for this, but I'm going to try to get a pretty good view here. But 24,000 tiles all over this thing. Every single tile has got an individual serial number on it. Hopefully you guys are kind of seeing it. I mean, of course, all the scarring and all the damage from coming in, really, really hot. You see the thing's ashed up. But the cool part is these tiles transfer heat so mildly. You could pull them out of a 3,000 degree oven, and as long as you're handling the tiles by the edges, you can hold them. I mean, the heat transfer is so light, and you can actually see the striations here from all the friction and everything. Man, it's just such an amazing aircraft. Spacecraft. Call it what you will. It's both. The tires were specially designed, good for one flight. Really amazing technology, because you figure the things are coming in out of, 0 to zero, below zero, way below zero, 30, 40, 50, 70, 90 degrees, however many degrees below zero, and then it's hitting the ground at about, 300 miles an hour almost, then getting heated up amazingly hot, instantaneously, and of course it has to carry a load of 300 tons. Amazing. Cool stuff. And it's only 2 wheels on each rear, 2 wheels in front, so 6 tires are carrying the whole battle load of this beast. Oh, amazing. Absolutely amazing. This here is the let 'em out door from the bottom. Good stuff. I'll break off on this one. So yeah, here we have the Space Shuttle Discovery, and this right here is really kind of cool. This actually is humongous in diameter, but this is actually the diameter of the ring, the tube diameter. This is one of the interconnectors for the Saturn V series of rockets. Those beasts were huge. Can't put it in perspective. I can't tell you how big this thing is, but let's just say to walk around it took a little while. But the space shuttle is not a small piece of equipment. If I find one of the placards that actually has like measurements and what have you, I'll throw that in this video. You guys will see that. But that's a satellite there blocking the tail, vertical stabilizer. So let me get on over here, and you guys can see this booger close up and personal. But I can tell you right off the bat, man, this thing is just bad. I could stay here all day long and look at this thing, truly. Met up with a couple of Aussies, and we were talking about, like, various things in the States and all, and they were really, really blown away to just be seeing this thing up close and personal. I cannot tell you how cool it is to come here to this Dulles location of the Smithsonian Museum for Air and Space. You gotta come here. You just gotta. I'm gonna break off on this one, folks. Yeah, they say you're supposed to stand under the mistletoe or not get hit by a tow missile. I think probably this guy right here might be a problem. This is one of the forebears or one of the ofs of a cruise missile. Truthfully, not something you want to be on the receiving end of, and kind of makes a heck of a splash. Not a good time. Not a good time. Ooh, space shuttle. Good times. All right, that big silver aircraft right there. Pennant number is going to be R on the tail, 82. If you know your history, you know this aircraft. This aircraft is formidably the most important aircraft of World War II and brought about the end of the war. This here is the Enola Gay. This aircraft dropped one of the nuclear weapons that fell upon Japan and effectively ended World War II. This one is a bad mamma jamma. Alright, where you have the light, there has to be the dark. The SR-71 being the fastest military aircraft ever fielded. I think the Foxbat was a little faster for the short runs, but for the civilian side, that was this guy right here. Oh man, the Concorde, Air France Concorde, built by a combination of the British engineering, the French execution, or the other way around, I forget which one was which. This thing would fly 14 to 1,500 miles per hour, cross the Atlantic in about 3 hours and change, with about 100 some odd people on board, and it was the fastest commercial aircraft ever. Of course, there was a couple of foibles, and of course one was lost in spectacular fashion, thus ending the very illustrious career, short-lived thereof, of the Air France Concorde. But truly an amazing aircraft all in its own right. Truly fast and really small inside. I actually walked through one when I visited the Intrepid in New York City. Actually, one of the USS Intrepid, and there actually is a museum that had one of these on board, on the dock next door. And it was tight inside. I was surprised. But you know what? You're going to be on board for 3 hours. How good does it need to be? It's basically a bus moving at 1,500 miles an hour. That sucker's bad. This one's kind of cool. This is the very first aircraft to fly transoceanic. I forget what this one's called. Built by Scale Composites. I forget the guy's name who actually built it. It's Dick something or other. But this thing is very cool. And the guy's now involved with like the Virgin thing where they're trying to make the space plane and all the rest of that stuff. But I'll put that in the annotations of who this guy is and why he's notable. But builds really strange asymmetric aircraft. So basically have like two pods on either side and the people were in the middle. 67 hours in this little thing. Oh man, I cannot imagine that being fun. Not fun at all. All right, I'm down the lower angle here. I can show you something cool with the Concorde. If you look at the Concorde, there's like that line right there. What would happen is on takeoff and landing, the nose would actually break and go down like 30, 40 degrees so these guys could see out the window easier. And of course, they're looking out the windscreen, and then to become aerodynamic, it would pick back up and lock in a position being straight ahead. So this is actually the flight position, locked in straight in line, because then it would be aerodynamic. Otherwise, they couldn't see so good, so they basically had the nose droop on takeoff and landing. Kind of cool stuff. All right, back in the bygone day, people are pretty cool to climb up in the hot air balloons and float way, way up. What if you're wearing a spacesuit, you got nothing better to do, and you're at 113,000 plus feet? That's right, you're climbing to the Red Bull Stratos. Oh man, the Red Bull Stratos, inhabited by, jumped out of by, and well, departed by Felix Baumgartner. Just a total, complete, and absolute badass. Red Bull Stratos also on display here at the Udvar-Hazy Smithsonian and Air and Space Museum. Good stuff. I remember seeing this one in the Guinness Book of World Records. It's here. The Stitz Sky Baby. This little booger right here. I remember seeing this thing and going, man, how can anybody actually even fly in this thing? No, that is not an optical illusion. That is the true wing size. There's maybe like a scant 3 feet here, no, maybe more like 4 feet, but it is It looks like something you'd see in a Disney Cars movie, man. It really is. It's just laughably small, man. I mean, this little booger was the smallest aircraft able to fly in the world for a period in time in which, well, the guy that actually built it, of course, he passed. His kid built a smaller one. Well, let's just look at this booger. It is 7 feet 2 inches long, you know, for wingspan. It is a scant 9 feet 10 inches in length. The height is only 5 feet. It only weighs 452 pounds. Totally loaded up is only 666 pounds. It's only got an 85 horsepower motor and is built by the gentleman in 1952. Mr. Stitz himself right there with his Sky Baby. Cool stuff. And here we are on the lower angle of the Enola Gay. You know what? If you were seeing a view along the lines of something like, oh, I don't know, something like this, yeah, your life was really not going to be very good for very long. I do notice they did take out the belly gunner's bubble, so there's now a mock-up on there, and the vehicle has been completely polished up, so all that military-grade paint job is now gone. It's been removed. It's now back to a pristine shape. Good stuff. Enola Gay, look up the history on it. It is an amazing aircraft. Thank goodness they have it here. All right, this brings me to my absolute favorite aircraft of World War II. This thing was a total badass. We're talking about the Lockheed P-38 Lightning, also known in German parlance as the fork-tailed devil. You can see it has 2 vertical stabilizers, a pod for an engine, a pod for an engine. The middle pod is actually the pilot's area, which has some cannons and good stuff like that there. But how much was the total bear was this beast? It would do 419 miles an hour. It had 1,400 plus horsepower. It had a 20 millimeter cannon, 450 caliber machine guns. It was a badass. As a matter of fact, this thing was so fast, it actually was the very first aircraft that we ever had that experienced something called compressibility issues. Compressibility is where an aircraft is moving so fast that the airflow is over the surface is so bad you can't pull it out of a dive. Needless to say, this thing dove faster than any other aircraft on the planet at that point in time, and the Germans were scared to death of them. We had to come up with some new technology to deal with the dive problem, but this thing actually gave us some information on how to build a better jet. That's how fast this thing was. Total badass. P-38 Lightning. Love these things. Good stuff. All right, it's time to make a last entry here. We're talking about the Messerschmitt Me-163 Bravo 1 Alpha Comet. Oh man, these things were kind of cool. These are one of the first rocket planes that they were playing with, where they actually came out with the Me-262, which was an actual true jet. But this one actually was a rocket. So I guess it would be hydrazine and liquid oxygen and whatnot. And these things, when they worked, they worked. When they didn't work, they promptly blew up like an exploding device, because they just were not the best thing possible. It's what the Germans had, and they were really groundbreaking in their technology. But if you were looking to have a hellaciously big bang when these things went wrong, it was horrendously fast in reaction and not going right. I'm going to break off on this one, folks, but if you get a chance, definitely come on over here. Udvar-Hazy, Smithsonian, just on the outskirts of Dulles Airport. I got to tell you guys, the stuff I've seen here is just flat out amazing. Of course, you know, Space Shuttle. Come on, can you go wrong with Space Shuttle? You got to come here and check out a Space Shuttle. There's not that many around, so if you get a chance to actually put, well, you can't touch it, but you can put eyes to it, and oh, so cool to see the Discovery in person. I'm going to break up on this one, folks. Eat good, keep the sun ringing, as always, Smithsonian goodness. Ah, good times. See you guys.